Let's go back to Tel Aviv, where Trey Yingst is on the ground. Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey, what's happening there now?
Yeah, Griff, this is breaking news. A senior Israeli official tells Fox News that Iran's supreme leader and Iran's president were targeted in strikes against the Iranian capital of Tehran. Also targeted were the commanding officers responsible, according to this official, for the mass murder of Iranian protesters. The official adds that battle damage assessments will come out later. But again, this is a massive development. A senior Israeli official telling Fox News that Iran's supreme leader and Iran's president, so the Ayatollah Khamenei and Masoud Pezeshkian, were targeted in Israeli strikes against the capital of Tehran. We don't know if they were successful as of yet. These battle damage assessments take some time.
Missile alerts light up the Gulf. Air defenses activate. Radar screens flood with incoming signatures. Within minutes, multiple countries are on high alert. This is no longer shadow warfare. This is escalation. Iran has expanded its pressure campaign beyond isolated proxy clashes. Missile launches, drone swarms, threats to shipping lanes, coordinated messaging. The region is entering a new phase of confrontation, one that risks pulling in the United States, Israel, and multiple Gulf states at once. The stakes are no longer symbolic. They are strategic. For years, Iran has relied on layered deterrence, proxy militias in Iraq and Syria, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, maritime harassment in the Gulf. It was calibrated pressure, deniable, indirect, controlled. But now the pattern is shifting. Recent strikes attributed to Iranian-backed forces have targeted U.S. military facilities in Iraq and Syria. Missile and drone launches toward Israel have increased in frequency. In the Red Sea, commercial shipping faces repeated threats. Meanwhile, Gulf states quietly raise air defense readiness levels. This is multi-front pressure, and it's deliberate. Iran's military doctrine revolves around asymmetric leverage. It cannot match the U.S. or Israel in conventional air power, so it spreads risk across geography. Overwhelm defenses, stretch response times, raise costs without triggering full-scale invasion. But there is a problem with multi-front pressure. It increases the chance of miscalculation. Let's break down the battlefield context. The Persian Gulf is one of the most militarized waterways on Earth. U.S. carrier strike groups rotate through the region. Aegis-equipped destroyers patrol critical lanes. Patriot and THAAD batteries protect key Gulf cities. Israeli air defenses remain on constant alert. Iran knows this, which is why its strategy blends tools. Ballistic missiles for shock value, cruise missiles for precision, one-way attack drones for saturation, fast attack boats for maritime disruption, cyber operations for confusion. None of these systems alone can dominate the region. Together, they complicate it. If even a few drones penetrate layered defenses, headlines follow. Insurance premiums spike. Oil markets react instantly. Investors panic. And Tehran understands that economic pressure is leverage. Now consider the systems involved. Iran's short and medium-range ballistic missiles can reach U.S. bases across the Gulf within minutes. Many are solid-fuel, road-mobile platforms, difficult to preemptively destroy. Its drone arsenal is extensive. Loitering munitions designed to evade radar, cheap, replaceable, effective against static targets. Against this, Gulf states rely heavily on American-supplied systems. Patriot batteries for missile interception. Thavad for higher-altitude threats. Naval Aegis systems for maritime interception. Israeli Iron Dome and David's Sling for layered coverage. On paper, the defenses are strong. In reality, no air defense system is perfect. Saturation is the key variable. If dozens of drones and missiles launch simultaneously from multiple directions, interception rates drop. Even a 90% success rate leaves room for impact. That's the escalation risk. Now zoom out strategically. Why escalate now? Iran faces pressure on multiple fronts. Economic sanctions strain its economy. Israel continues targeted strikes against Iranian-linked assets in Syria. U.S. forces maintain a regional footprint. Domestic political dynamics reward displays of strength. Escalation becomes signaling, a message to Washington, a warning to Israel, a reminder to Gulf monarchies. But signaling can spiral. If U.S. personnel are killed in a confirmed strike, Washington's response calculus changes. Precision retaliation, airstrikes on missile depots, targeted operations against Revolutionary Guard infrastructure. That response triggers counter-response. This is the escalation ladder, each rung higher than the last. Now consider Israel's position. Israel views Iranian missile expansion as an existential threat. It has repeatedly demonstrated willingness to conduct preemptive operations. If intelligence suggests imminent large-scale attacks, Israel could act first. That opens a second front. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Gaza factions, Syrian militias. The northern border ignites. At the same time, shipping through the Strait of Hormuz becomes vulnerable. Roughly 1/5 of global oil passes through that choke point. Even temporary disruption sends energy prices surging worldwide. Europe feels it. Asia feels it. Global markets react within hours. And that is why this is no longer a regional issue. It's global. Russia and China monitor closely. Both maintain strategic ties with Tehran. Neither wants uncontrolled regional war, but both benefit from U.S. distraction. The United States, meanwhile, must balance deterrence with restraint. Overreaction invites wider war. Underreaction invites further testing. So the central question becomes, is this calibrated escalation or loss of control? Iran historically prefers calibrated pressure. It pushes until it meets resistance, then recalibrates. It avoids full-scale conventional confrontation because it knows the cost would be devastating. But the more actors involved, the harder calibration becomes. A militia commander miscalculates. A missile hits a sensitive target. Civilian casualties spike. Domestic outrage forces retaliation, and suddenly leaders are reacting, not controlling. That is how regional wars begin, not always with declarations, but with momentum. Right now, the region sits at a fragile equilibrium. U.S. naval assets remain forward deployed. Air defense systems are on heightened alert. Proxy networks remain active. Oil markets are nervous. And diplomatic channels are working quietly behind the scenes. The next major strike, if it crosses a certain threshold, could determine whether this remains a shadow conflict or becomes open warfare. Watch 3 indicators. First, direct hits on U.S. personnel. That shifts Washington's posture immediately. Second, sustained disruption of shipping in Hormuz or the Red Sea. That internationalizes the crisis. Third, Israeli preemptive action inside Iranian territory. That transforms the equation entirely. Until then, we are in the gray zone. High tension, high risk, but not yet full war. The Middle East has lived on the edge of escalation before. The difference now is density. More drones, more missiles, more actors, less margin for error. One miscalculation, one failed interception, one strike that goes too far, and the region could tip from pressure campaign into open conflict. The question is no longer whether tensions are rising. They are. The real question is who decides to stop climbing the ladder, and whether they do it in time. Because once momentum takes over, strategy gives way to reaction. And reaction is where wars are born.